I care about you more than anyone else. That's an unwavering truth, even now.
I thought that you'd forgotten.
I never said anything of the sort.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to another Geek News Anime Night. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drac. I hope everybody's having an awesome day, week, whatever is going on when you're listening to this. And joining me, obviously, is my lovely wife, Andrea. Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
What she's actually trying to say is she's cold. Because Drac left the window open to cool down the office. So, that being said, episode 3. I wish, here's the thing. The last 2 episodes, we had quite a bit to go over because we basically had a lot of story just kind of dropped on us. Both with introducing Ren Soma and basically Akito's parents, and then also having just how effed up the Soma family is, specifically Shigure. And this one was kind of not a downer, but it was definitely kind of taking us back to normal. So in this episode, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what the episode is called, but so in the last episode, we dealt with preparations for graduation for the class above Kyo and Toru. And in this case, this episode was graduation day, roughly, right? Because we got to see the graduation ceremony for President Takai, and the previous student body president and the president of the Yuki fan club, I can't remember her name. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So we got to have basically that be the crux of the whole plot of the episode. Was the premise was everybody was saying goodbye. Everybody of the graduating class was saying goodbye. And so in that case, in the case of a Japanese high school, it's basically that you go and confront your crush and see if there's anything there, or basically just kind of say your goodbyes because you're going to go off and do your own thing. And so at that point, we actually have a lot to do with the student council, because Manaba and Yuki are both admitting they've had lots and lots of girls come up to them doing that, confessing their love, and then they have to turn them down. And so, you could kind of see that Yuki's kind of tired of it. He's probably had more than Manaba has. But you also see that I can't ever remember the kid's name. The one who's supposed to be part of the underclassmen. The one that's yelling at he's, you know what I'm talking about, right? The anal one.
Yes.
Yeah, the anal retentive one. He's mad because everybody's going to them, and he's the underclassman, so he's not being approached by any of these girls. And then you have Machi being Machi, she, being very quiet and all that. But what's interesting is that the episode starts with, I'm trying to think of a word to describe it. What episode would that be, right? Because we learn a lot about Machi in this episode, and basically she's, what was she? Oh, it was snowing. It was snowing outside, and so she hates the snow. So she was so mad that it was snowing outside that she took out her frustrations on a brand new box of chalk. Which, you know what? I'd take out my frustrations on a box of chalk too. I mean, I've little bit of a confession here. I've never liked chalk. I never did you ever mess around with the street chalk and I hated that stuff. I've never liked the feeling of chalk, and I hated it when teachers used it. I was so happy when we got into high school and they were using whiteboards instead. So I get it. I get why she was angry, because why she took it out on. I get why she was angry, but I also get why she took it out on that horrible, poor box of chalk.
I thought there were still chalkboards in high school, and then they eventually went to whiteboards.
There were still in our high school, there were still a few. But when I was in high school in Idaho, there was more chalkboards up there than there were when I came back down here, and it was actually more integrated whiteboards than anything else. The only ones I remember were like in the what was it called, like the life studies class that I took, and then the theater company that I was a part of, because they had an older classroom. So at that point, like everything else was whiteboards. So I was very used to whiteboards, and I personally have always liked them. But this is kind of what starts up the whole speculation on Machi. In fact, is it because of the chalk that people start talking about the rumors about her? I think it is. Because she takes out her frustrations on this little box of chalk, and she takes out her frustrations and then gets chastised for it, and ultimately that's when we get to see the girls spreading rumors about Machi. Basically saying, like, so the rumor, I guess, is that she got kicked out of her house because she tried to kill her little brother. And Manaba, who is her stepbrother, he's just kind of got that, he's got that look of like, I know that's bullshit kind of thing. And Yuki's kind of flipped out by it, and so that basically leads into a going to visit Machi. And so we get to go to Machi's apartment, which is, I mean, probably for a Japanese apartment, it's pretty big, but looked really small. Looked really small compared to, but a lot of things are just wrecked. I don't know if you noticed, like her TV had a big crack in it. Clothes, garbage everywhere, and then there was a big crack in her window. Which, as soon as they go there, Manaba decides to tease Yuki a little bit and have him help clean up. And of course, the first thing he does is he hands Yuki one of her bras to freak him out, because teenage boys freak out at that stuff. It's not appropriate. Actually, I'm trying to figure out who freaked out more, Yuki or Machi. It might have been Machi. Machi freaked out a little bit more because she didn't want them there. And ultimately, this leads to Manaba taking out the garbage, and Yuki and Machi get to have some alone time, where we learn quite a bit about her. And I think I even asked this when we were watching the episode. I actually kind of wondered if she was autistic or had OCD or something like that, because they show a previous memory where Manaba, like it was a family Christmas or something like that, and Manaba walked out and was just going to go out and enjoy the quiet, and then he saw Machi was out there making footprints in the snow. And it looked like she was handling it in a very OCD kind of manner. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, granted, everything in Fruits Basket is basically like emotional trauma, and Machi in this case we do find out has emotional trauma, but I still kind of wonder if there's like this hinting of OCD, like legit OCD with Machi, and that's also playing into it, and all of the bullshit from the parents only made it worse. Because then we get the reveal of what actually happened in the story about her brother is, so I guess the little brother, since he's not part of the evil seed and all that, he's the favorite. And in turn, Machi noticed that it was getting cold one night and just covered him with a blanket to make sure that he was warm, right? Innocent enough.
I thought the boy was sick or something.
Yeah, actually, the boy might have had a cold or something like that.
And
And
she was
then
trying to
she
keep him
was covering him up, and the parents came in and thought she was smothering him. Which I don't know why they would think that.
Who knows?
I mean, like, okay, we kind of covered this in season 2, how Yuki's parents are kind of effed up. Machi's parents are, if not equally, more effed up than Yuki's parents. Because Yuki's parents just don't give a crap that they have kids. Whereas Machi's parents are like, oh, well, we have this good son, but we have this horrible, horrible daughter. kind of thing, and basically making it out that she's like this problem child, and she really isn't, and that in turn I think makes her OCD even worse, because now she's punishing herself for things that weren't entirely her fault. Like, she wasn't trying to kill the boy, she was trying to keep him warm. What older sister wouldn't do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, I literally looked at this, and I kind of put you in that perspective, and put Alex as the little boy. Like, your mom comes in, she's be like, "Oh, such a good sister," right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead, they immediately assume that she's trying to smother him. Could they not see his face was like, I'm sure the blanket was not up to his face. Maybe up to his shoulders. But it's fucked up beyond all shred of a doubt. And thankfully, Yuki kind of gives her some comforting words while they repair her window, because we actually see, like, one of the reasons that she has so many broken things is, like, she is basically punishing herself on the inside. And the broken stuff around her is basically when she's lashing out. So, if anybody knows what a cycle of behavior is, she is deep in that. For those who don't know what it is, it's like you have this something sets you off, and then you act like you're normal, but you're not. Then you go into the next stage, which is just like it's building and building and building, and then you act out on it, and then you justify your actions. She is so deep in this cyclical behavior that it's just like you could see all the times she's acted out in her apartment. And the reason, by the way, she has an apartment is because of after that incident, they decided to kick her out. Like, and this is her mom, by the way. Like, I cannot think of a bigger bond that would happen between a mother and a daughter. And this mother is telling her daughter that she is absolute evil. Like, oh my gosh. I wanted to beat the crap out of this mother. I'm not even kidding. So we have that moment, and that takes up a lot of it. And it was a wholesome moment, because it basically was, you know, how Yuki has been relying so much on Toru to help him through his problems. Yuki got to be Toru for Machi. And that was kind of cute, right? And I also think that was also kind of setting things up for Machi and Yuki to be a thing later on. But the other thing that I guess needs to be approached is the last scene that happens in this episode, which is when the president of the Yuki fan club, who is about to graduate, she pulls Yuki aside, and we think this is going to go how she's going to confess her love, she's going to try and hug him, and he's going to push her away, right? But instead, she basically thanks him for just being him, right? I don't think it was anything else other than thank you for just being you, being something to look forward to each day and stuff like that. And it actually turned out to be, like, I thought I was going to be cringing so hard at this scene. It actually kind of turned out to be a fairly touching moment. Especially when Yuki kind of steps in and says, I think, he looks at her and he goes, I think personally you're giving me too much credit, and tries to put that a little bit more on her. And, you know, she then kind of pushes it back like the schoolgirl she is. And what's funny also is that so this happens. So they have their moment, and there's no confession of love or anything like that. But as she's leaving to go to after the graduation, little Mr. Anal Retentive comes up and I don't think he actually did he? I don't think he said, like, I love you. I think he just, he said, you know, he basically did what she did to Yuki. Is like, thank you for being a member of the school and all that. But you could tell, like, he wanted to
say
confess
more.
his feelings. Yeah. So she got that in the end. So I thought I was going to walk away from a cringe fest with more Yuki fan club bullcrap, and I actually got, like, a really wholesome moment out of it. I mean, am I wrong?
It's just a weird conversation.
It's not one that happens here. So it's a typical thing in Japan, is since in Japan it's like high school is the greatest part of your life, and then you go working 30-hour work days, like in Japanese society. So the Japanese look at not K through 12, but like middle school through high school as, and maybe even university in there too, as like the most romantic years, like where they get to truly live life. And so it's hard to relate, but this actually had kind of a good moment in the end. Overall, that's pretty much the episode. So, best and worst of this episode. It's kind of a bland one compared to what we've had before. Like all you deal with is just, more relationship building between Yuki and Machi, and then the graduation stuff.
It's just a filler episode.
It really is. Did you get bored during it at all, or?
Just a typical average episode.
Yep. Not necessarily one that stands out, you'd say.
Yeah.
Okay, so then out of 5, what would you rate it?
3.
Yeah. I kind of agree. It's like a C. It's a C. It's not bad. It's not like the greatest, because I mean the 2 episodes before this we had lots to be able to talk about, and this one it's just people are graduating and relationships are building. Congratulations. So I guess that's all we have to say on this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I hope we have something more to talk about in the next episode. But until then, and also the episode title was I Hope It Snows Soon. So just in case I didn't say that before. But thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to continue to show your support for the podcast, as well as for the other Geek News Marathon night that we have going on for Rising of the Shield Hero Season 1. And until then, we will see you guys next time for Episode 4 of Season 3 of Fruits Basket.